Hello, everybody. It's me, Cheryl360, and I'm taking a quick break from my day to day work to have an episode that I like to call Crisis Management. Because every once in a while in the life of an idol, something horrific happens, and somebody has to be there to crisis manage, to make sure things don't get out of hand, to make sure that there's recovery. And that is me today, guys. We're doing crisis management because of the following article on Soompi.com, which says the agencies of Jungkook, Mingyu, Cha Eun-woo, and Jaehyun apologized for Itaewon outing and confirmed they tested negative for COVID. So let's read the article, shall we? On May 18th, Dispatch reported that BTS's Jungkook, Seventeen's Mingyu, NCT's Jaehyun, and Astra's Cha Eun-woo had spent the night out in the neighborhood of Itaewon, where the recent resurgence of COVID began. South Korea recently saw a spike in the number of COVID cases after a patient with the virus visited clubs in the neighborhood of Itaewon and Seoul. According to Dispatch, the four idols hung out in a restaurant and two bars in the neighborhood of Itaewon from the evening of April 25th until dawn on April 26th. The aforementioned confirmed patient visited clubs in the area on May 2nd and tested positive on May 6th. After this confirmed case was announced, the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures headquarters suggested that anyone who visited entertainment facilities in Itaewon between April 24th and May 6th refrain from leaving their homes. Reports about idols who were spotted in Itaewon surfaced a few days earlier, but the idols' names were not revealed, and their agency stated that they would not verify the fact as it pertained to the artists' personal lives. Following Dispatch's report this day, each idol's agency released official statements stating that the report is true and that all idols had tested negative for COVID-19. Jungkook's agency Big Hit released the following statement: yada yada yada, blah blah blah, brr brr brr. The best part of their statement, honestly, is this part right here that says, however, there is no room for excuse regarding the fact that we, as the agency of the artist in question, had not properly recognized the heavy importance of social distancing and prioritized the protection of our artist's private life over it. We bow our heads in apology. I just want you to know. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is the next one. This is from Pledis Entertainment, which, by the way, is now confirmed to be a subsidiary of Big Hit. So anybody saying that Pledis and Big Hit aren't the same time can suck ass. This is it. We at the agency deeply feel responsible that a situation like this has arisen due to our careless management of the artist. We sincerely apologize for causing concern and worry to fans who send love and attention to our artists. To prevent something like this from happening again, we will emphasize the importance of social distancing and personal hygiene to our artists and pay careful attention to ensure that our artists follow the guidelines. We once again bow our heads in apology. It sounds like copy and paste to me, but here we go. Astro's on Fantagio. This right here, I like a lot. No matter the reason, it was a thoughtless action for our artist Cha Eun-woo to visit the Itaewon area when the entire nation is practicing social distancing, and the artist himself is deeply reflecting on not faithfully contributing to social distancing efforts. I love the fact that, like, it's not our fault. He lost his fucking mind. Whereas if you notice, Big Hit and Plus, like, we need to manage our artists better. No, Fantagio said, fuck all that noise. We told him not to go down there that night, and he did it anyway. So he needs to learn to pay attention. We promise to put in our full effort for an incident like this to not happen again by having all of ours strictly follow the preventative guidelines. We apologize for causing concern. And then this is SM, because SM. Jaehyun is deeply reflecting on the fact that he was not careful during the period of social distancing when everyone should be refraining from everyday gatherings. We also deeply apologize for failing to guide and manage our artist to ensure that he carefully follows social distancing protocols during his personal time as well. We will work harder on the management of our artist to prevent something like this from happening again. Once again, we apologize for causing concern to fans and many other people. This says, to me, SM gave this boy a whooping because Jaehyun is deeply reflecting on the fact that he was not careful during social distancing. They went to him and said, you're not going to be promoting for a minute. You're going to have to sit at the house for a while. So SM probably took the belt to that one. So let's talk about this, because there's a couple of different things that need to be placed into the front of your mind. And so let me tell you about it. The first thing is, when this report initially came out, it was like, it's a gay bar. Notice how that part of the narrative is completely fallen off, which is fine because it doesn't fucking matter anyway. The second part of this is, right after this report went out, somebody confessed to making up the rumor and wrote a handwritten letter. Let me tell you something, armies. And this is me not being mean. This is me being totally real with you. Don't do shit like this. I am absolutely certain it was an army who wrote this handwritten letter to try to get the smoke off Jungkook's back, and this backfired terribly. And I'll tell you why this backfired terribly. It makes it seem like Big Hit and BTS are liars. When your idols get caught up in some bullshit, until everything is kind of, sorted out with the proper authorities, police, whatever else, stay quiet. Now, you can say, if you want to, like, hey, everybody, let's make sure that we don't jump to assumptions. There's more information that needs to be gathered. It's wrong for y'all to make a judgment because we don't know for sure. That kind of argument, that kind of statement, that's fine. Don't go out here making fake apology letters. Don't go out here trying to badmouth people when there may be a reason why there's confirmation here. And this is not me yelling at you because I hate armies, because that's not true. And I've said it over and over again, how much money I spend on BTS, how much I like BTS, and how much I think that a lot of people use them as a scapegoat because their groups aren't popular. And that's not fair, but it's what happens. But I'm telling you, don't do stuff like this, because now it makes it to where no one can trust anything coming from that statement, that artist or that company's mouth. No one can trust a handwritten letter from somebody. When rumors come out, people are more likely to believe that the rumor is true because you have put out a false statement saying it's not true. And it is. It's obviously true that he was out in Itaewon with his friends, hauling around all night long. They were like, this is the perfect time for us to get out the house because all of our in-person meet and greets and promotions have been canceled. There's not as many people hanging out downtown because of the COVID stuff. This is a great time for all of us to get together and party the night away. Because if you read the statement, they were out from the evening until the dawn. Do you know how many hours that is? Do you know how hard you got to be drinking and partying to be out from the evening till the dawn? Let's just say they decided to go to dinner at 11 o'clock. Just being generous. They decided to go to dinner at 11 o'clock. So they were like late evening. The dawn is 5 a.m. They were out for 6 hours. I don't know about you. Maybe it's just me because I'm an old lady. I can't hang out for 6 hours. I really can't. Nighttime, I can't hang out for 6 hours. So, yeah, they were having a wild time. And these are young people. Jungkook is the youngest member of his group, and he has been an idol for many, many years. He was a teenager when he became an idol. When BTS debuted, he didn't even have all his adult teeth yet, probably. I get what happened. That's the reason why I bring that up. Like, I get what happened. You are a young person who wants to live a young life. There are so many things that you have been deprived of because you had to toe the line in order to get from point A to point superstar. And so I get that right now Jungkook is lashing out. And it's not lashing out like fighting people. He's just like, I want to express me. I want to know who I am. I'm an adult now, but I've never been a teenager. I've never got to do the fun shit that other people do. I didn't get to go out drinking with my friends underage. I didn't get to go smoke pot. People get bad tattoos. I want to get bad tattoos. Let's scribble on my hand and up my arm. These are all things that he probably would have done without the public seeing him if he was just a regular citizen. And I don't feel mad at him for that. This is the issue I have, and this is the same thing I've talked about before. Your companies need to start giving your idols a holistic 360 support system. Jungkook's not going out in the middle of a pandemic to go party all fucking night long unless he is desperate to get out the house. And I mean desperate to get out the house. There are so many other ways this could have happened. It could have been that Big Hit could have said, you know what, we're going to clear out the biggest practice room in the building. We're going to bring in all the alcohol. We're going to bring in the sound systems, and you and your friends, if you want to party, you can party in here. And then nobody will know. We'll make sure there's no cameras. Like, everything will be cool. But instead, these companies are so focused on the product, and they're so focused on getting you out there to perform. How much money can I make off you? How many appearances can I have you make? What can I do to increase our profile as a corporation rather than to make sure you can do this for many, many, many years? And because of that mentality, they don't think about how does a child transition from childhood to adulthood under the microscope. They don't think about, How do we allow our people to blow off steam and find healthy ways to outlet before they just lose their fucking mind? Idols that are out here drunk driving and making poor decisions, a lot of them are doing so because they have just finally lost it. They have gotten to the point where, like, you know what, fuck it all. I'm just going to have one night where I don't give a damn. And if a company was to approach an idol as a person, if you approach them as a person and you tell them, what can I do for you that you feel is missing from your life right now? What can I do for you that'll make you feel like you're not lost in the sauce, that you have a place, that you know yourself? You know, do you want to take some courses? Do I need to give you certain times off that you know you can be by yourself and do things? But they're not doing that. It has been a constant push to make money. And you could tell from the way that they've been promoting recently that there's some friction coming from the group with Big Hit saying, we can't promote like this all the time anymore. That year gap, that was because they probably said, we can't do this. We are going to break up. Flat out. We will break up the band if you keep on pushing us to work the way you have. And when the 7 year, well, they already pre-renewed, but when they pre-renewed, I'm sure that they told Big Hit, we're only doing this because you can't push us like you've been anymore. You've got to start giving us gaps. And if you notice, after they did their early renewal, they quit promoting as heavy because they told Big Hit, it's either let us have a break or risk losing us. And this company doesn't work without us. You can't be Big Hit, one of the premier entertainment companies in Korea, off the back of TXT. And that's a fact. That's a fact. Even if you bought up Pledis, that's still not going to make you a top three. We are what make you a top three, us and us alone. So if you want to stay there, you need to give us breaks. However, Big Hit's also in the background saying, you know, they could leave at any time. They have enough power. Lawyers could probably find a gap in their contracts. We could lose everything. Let's make them work as hard as possible, as much as possible within the bounds of our new contract so that we can try to get everything we can while the iron is hot. And so they don't have any concern about the personal lives of their artists. They don't. They just don't. And this is what happens when you don't have the concern. Or when you wait too late to have the concern. Because this is something that y'all should have worked out with Jungkook when he was a teenager. When he was 17, 18, 19 years old, you should have found ways for him to be able to express himself before he hit a breaking point. And it's not even like he did something super bad. Like he went to the club with his friends and partied all night long. How many of us who are adults now haven't done that? I've done that. I mean, I've never partied from night till dawn. Like, I've never done that. But, like, gone out drinking, had some fun with friends, you know, walked downtown. Like, I've done that kind of stuff before. It's a part of growing up. It's a part of being wild before you have to be completely responsible. But that's something that they should have taken care of with that child years and years and years ago. And they didn't do that. I saw somebody ask, how are the clubs allowed to be open? They're allowed to be open because Korea has been under like COVID watch for way longer than the rest of the world, ever since that one church member. And so they're at the point where they're starting to let people out the house again. So that's the reason why they were able to go to open clubs and bars in Itaewon. They weren't open illegally. They were open because the government allowed them to be open. But what the government had been stressing for the people is, we will open these bars. You quit being an asshole and don't come out here when you know you're sick. And somebody ruined the fun by going out there when they were sick. That's how that happens. But yeah, it is just, crisis management doesn't start the moment something bad happens. And that's something that every company has to realize. Crisis management does not begin when somebody has ran over the cyclist and all of a sudden the police show up. Crisis management begins day one. Crisis management begins actually day minus 25. It begins the minute that this trainee has been selected into your company and is going to begin the road to being an idol. Because that crisis management starts with how to manage your emotions, how to be on Variety, how to be wary of people who might want to use you or take advantage of you, how to operate social media in a responsible manner. All of these things have to be brought onto the table before they ever sing a note. And the reason it has to be there is because these are the things that bring groups down. It's never, oh, this group that everyone loves so much had one bad single and now nobody likes them anymore. It's never that. It's always a member of group A, B, and C who hasn't had a hit in a couple of years got caught, riding cows naked at midnight. And so that's the reason why the management starts now. It starts early. Anybody who's going to debut in 3 or 4 years, their training, their holistic response needs to begin now. Now is the time that they need to start seeing therapists. Even if there's nothing wrong with them, they need to start seeing therapists today. And they need to start seeing therapists today because, oh, sorry, I'm car back. They need to start seeing therapists today because if they don't start seeing therapists today, once they make it, if they make it becomes too much to handle at that point. You have to have the tools to management all the way up, all the way up. And so, crisis management, that's what we're talking about today. And the reason why we're talking about today is because it never has to go this far. It never has to go this far if you start yesterday. It's something I tell my daughter all the time. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And this is a prime example of you should have been ready. Yeah. You know, I feel bad for NCT because they have a comeback, and this is definitely going to affect their comeback in a really big way. And it sucks because there's members of NCT that did nothing wrong, and they shouldn't have to be punished for the behavior of one person when it's already been verified they weren't out with that person. Mark works way too fucking hard for y'all to treat him like this. That boy hadn't had a break since 1997. Y'all need to leave him alone. But this is what happens. This is what happens, and it really sucks, and it's very hurtful, and I just feel bad. I feel bad because I mentioned Jungkook a lot just now because I mean he is probably the most prominent member of that quartet, but I feel really bad because like a group like 17, 17 is still considered a pretty popular group, but let's just be honest with one another. 17 has been managed very poorly by Pledis, I would say, in the last couple of years. Pledis hasn't done what they should have done with 17. And now that Pledis and Big Hit have officially announced their merger, this is the time when 17 has a real chance of getting back where they were. And with this kind of attention, this gives every incentive in the world for them to want to not promote 17 and them to not want to give 17 all the resources they're entitled to for comebacks because they're going to look at one member as a troublemaker and they're going to say, well, maybe we need to put the whole group on hiatus so that the public can forget about this shameful incident and then it won't affect the sales. Astro. Fantagio is probably going to take this boy out of Astro. Facts. This boy is probably never going to go back to Astro. They're like, he's decided that he would like to pursue his career as an actor and no longer wants to pursue his career as an idol. Like, it has repercussions, and the repercussions are far more than just you're in the news today. So, crisis management moving forward. Let's see what we're going to do. So, in my opinion, the way we move forward is this. Jungkook needs to do something with that is an argument. Should idols debut at 14, 15 years old? Personally, I don't think they should. I don't think they should. I mean, let's just be really real here. Part of what makes SHINee so incredibly special is the fact that Taemin seems normal. Now, we don't know what goes on down in the BDSM dungeon, but for the most part, Taemin seems normal. And that's huge considering how young he was when he debuted and that SHINee is about to be a 12-year-old group. A 12-year-old group.
So he's like, what, 26?
No. Well, he's 26, yeah.
Yeah.
26, 27. So that's a long time to be in the spotlight from an age when things were very tender, when he was still growing. Like, he literally went from short to tall. The fact that he hasn't had any major scandals, hasn't had him caught like doing super bad things. Like, the most we've ever found with Taemin is basically like he smokes. But a lot has happened behind the scenes. A lot has happened behind the scenes. You know, when you look at Taman and you look at the fact that he was bullied when he was in school, the fact that somebody who practically helped to raise him committed suicide, the fact that his support system he's had for the last 10 years are all in the military for the most part. I mean, a lot of changes have happened with Taman, and the fact that he seems to be okay now and is intelligent and actually has gotten like more personable over the years, it says a lot about Shiny as a group. It says that those five men really did a lot of work to support each other, which is another reason why December 18th is so tragic, because I think everybody involved did everything they could to support Jong Un, you know? But it doesn't always happen that way. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes you have people, most of the time, you have people like the Disney Channel, where people debut super early as children stars or child actors and all this other stuff. And the way that story ends is in tragedy, in a ruined life. You know, they may not die, but you know, you've got the Lindsay Lohans of the world running around here looking like they have lost their mind. You have the Orlando Browns of the world out here looking like they've lost their mind. You know, it's tough because people don't give them the support to handle all this. And they need it. They need the support. And also, I think the companies need to do a better job of keeping these children connected to their families. You know, when you're a kid, you're still a kid. I know that sounds so goofy, but like when you're 14 or 15 years old, if you were close to your parents, you still need your parents. And you have a lot of these kids that are taken away from their families and they don't see their families sometimes for years at a time. Like they might get to Skype and Zoom and call and stuff like that, but they don't actually get to hug their mothers or hug their fathers because these kids come from all around the world to train. Like you have kids coming from Thailand and kids coming from China and kids coming from Japan to train in Seoul. So they're not going to be around their parents all the time. And for a kid who's 13, 14, 15 years old, they still need their moms. They still need their dads. And I think these companies need to do a better job of making sure that familial connection is there. I'm not saying to move the parents into houses in Korea because I know that that's not financially feasible when you have so many trainees, but I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to like have parent day where you arrange to have families come and visit their children. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if an idol debuts, I think it wouldn't be wrong to make it to where, you know, every time they have a concert tour, they arrange it to where the family is brought out to one of the stops on the concert to be with their child or and just talk to them and hold them and be close. People need that. But I know a lot of these companies, their rationale is we have to be the parents. We have to get to the point where they look at us as being the person who provides everything for them. We have to separate them from their family so that we can become the ultimate authority in their life. And that's really tough. That's really tough. It's a bad stance to take because there's things that everybody needs. Like as a person, there's things that everybody needs in their life in order to maintain some semblance of regularity, some semblance of normalcy, just to let life keep going. Everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs a friend because everybody needs somebody to talk to who's not related to them. Because there's times when you have to talk about your relations, you need a friend. And so you need a friend. Everybody needs a parent. You need somebody that you feel has always loved you and will always love you and will always be there for you no matter what, and whose advice you can trust forever. Everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs somebody outside of their family, outside of their friends, who can give you good information and can tell you that, you know, this is how you navigate something that maybe your family's not familiar with, or maybe something your friend group is too immature with. Everybody needs a goal. Everybody needs a goal. And for most trainees, it is the goal to debut. So we've got that covered. And then everybody needs a passion that has nothing to do with what you do for work. So let's say that you want to be an idol and you love being an idol and everything about it is just what you want to do. But let's say you have a really big hobby for making miniature houses. You need to be supported in your hobby because people need an outlet for stress relief, and then people need their job. And you need something you could do that divorces you completely from your job when you're off so that you don't have mental fatigue. These are all things that should be provided for idols, and they aren't. So, I mean, it's tough. This is it's tough. And I know it takes a lot. And it makes it to where smaller companies are going to have a hard time recruiting trainees if they have to adopt this kind of approach. But there's no excuse for SM, JYP, YG, Big Hit to not be doing this. They have enough money. It's not going to be a huge financial burden for you to book a commercial flight to bring the family out to see their kids. This can be done. You can have an on staff therapist. That's not hard. That's one more paycheck in the building. That's all it is. And you got people doing everything else around here. That's a paycheck you guys can afford. These are all things that should be doable. If your idol says my passion is horse riding, there's nothing wrong with giving them one day out of the week where they get to go to the ranch and ride a horse for a couple of hours and come back to the office. These are really doable things. I'm not asking you to turn the world upside down. I'm not asking you to go out of your way to make special concessions. I'm saying protect the mental health and the well being of these children. That way, you have somebody that is going to give you the returns you're looking for. It's a small investment to make early on, but if you can keep somebody in their right mind, they'll continue to produce for you for years. And they'll remember how you treated them. And when it's time to renew, they're going to remember who you were, how you were, and they're going to want to stay in the supportive environment. They really are. So I just wish that people would try harder. I wish that companies would try harder instead of coming out with these half-ass statements once a crisis happens. And Big Hit, I'm looking at you specifically because right now you're the one with the most skin in the game. You have got to treat Jungkook better. You really do. You've got to treat him better. You got to talk to him. You got to see what he needs. You got to start providing something for him. You need to support him in his education. You need to help him because he's getting lost. And I'm not saying it like he's just a bad kid or anything like that. I'm saying it that he's getting lost in that he is really crying out to experience life. And he's having to do it in ways that maybe aren't the healthiest because you're not giving him a means of release that's in his best interest. So this is why I say you've got to treat him better. You really got to look at him for who he is, and you have to say to yourself, what do I need to do to make it better for him? So I'm not coming down on Jungkook. Like I said, I understand what he's going through. Not that I've ever been in that situation, but I understand that as a teenager, you have to have a chance to let it out. And when you've been in such a regimented environment for so long, and then one day you wake up and you realize you're one of the most popular individuals on the face of the earth, all of a sudden you have this desire to reclaim your life. All of a sudden you have this desire to exercise that power, to do some things. And you feel like, who's going to check me, boo? Not you. Don't you know who I am? It's hard to stay humble when your face is recognized in multiple countries around the world. And when all the company has been pushing is work, 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 produce, 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 perform, perform, perform. And you've never talked about, okay, how are you feeling? Are you able to cope with this? Do you need a vacation? Do you need somebody to talk to who's a neutral third party? Do you need some space? If you've never done that, then when that person finally wakes up from regiment, perform, perform, produce, produce, that's going to be somebody that is this too late to put them back on the rails. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. And this is a failing on Big Hit's part. This is absolutely their failing. It has nothing to do with Jungkook as a person, because he's tried really hard. And I believe sincerely in my heart that he's a good kid until proven otherwise. This is a failing on the part of Big Hit to nurture this kid and take care of him. And I'm saying Big Hit specifically. I'm not saying BTS, because it's completely unfair to look at the other members of BTS and say it's their responsibility for making sure that Jungkook is taken care of because they're in the band with him. What about their own personal stresses? You know, they're all at the mercy of whoever makes their schedule. When the boss says we need an album by this date, you need to be in the studio by that date, we need to have this kind of output. How are they supposed to be the ones to take care of this kid when they're barely trying to stay their head above water? So it's not the fault of RM as the leader of the group. It's not the fault of Jin because he's the oldest in the group. It's not the fault of the ones that are closest in age to tell him, look at me and let me be your example. It's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. It is the fault of Big Hit. Let's not forget, years ago, when that footage came out of those managers hitting Jungkook. Do y'all remember that? And they're like, oh, it's a misunderstanding. And we spoke to that manager and that won't happen again. It starts way before it explodes. Bombs tick before they explode. So, yeah. Big Hit, this is all on you. This is absolutely on you. This is absolutely on you. You should have done a better job. Jungkook, you made a mistake. But I get where you came from. I get where you came from. You made a mistake. It was poor judgment on your part. I get that. But Big Hit, the onus is completely on you for this. You should have been taking care of this boy. You should have been taking care of this boy a long time ago. When these managers were hitting him, you should have come through. You should have said, this will never happen again. If you ever have any issues with anybody who we put in place to take care of you, let me, the president, the CEO, whoever know. I will take care of it immediately. You will always be listened to. You will always be taken care of. You will always be put in a position of priority. When you allow a manager to hit your idol, what you're saying to that kid is you matter less to me than they do. And they represent the way I feel like you should be looked at in this company. That's just it. Like, the fact that Jungkook didn't turn around after he got hit and just begin to scrap shows that this is a good kid. Because a bad kid would have taken that hit and came right back with the roundhouse. But he didn't. Probably because he was used to it. He was probably used to people treating him that way. And like I said, once he realized I am one of the most famous people on the face of the planet and I don't have to do every fucking thing you tell me to do, then it's time to go get tattoos. Then it's time to go, out for a drive and be distracted because I'm on my cell phone at the same time. Now it's time to, take advantage of the COVID restrictions and go party with my friends. It's time to do these things. And this is light work. Also, like I said, this is light work. This is not, I'm out here having sex with prostitutes in the sex club and not paying them. This really is light work. This is just kids shit. But before it gets worse, talk to him. Don't yell at him. Don't treat him bad. Talk to him. Talk to him and ask him, where have we failed you? Where have we failed you and what can we do that's better for you? Because we are willing to do it because you're important to us. And apologize to him. Tell him, we are so sorry. We realize now that we did something wrong. We missed a sign. We missed the boat. There's something we didn't pay attention to you for, and now it's coming out this way. And we just want to make sure that we can clear this up for you. So let us know what you need from us because we're in a position to make amends. That's what you need to do. That is crisis management for you. It's not about the statements that you make, even though your statement was stupid. It's not about the amount of mea culpas you make on television. It's not about hiding them away for reflection until the public forgets about an incident. It really is about going back to that artist and saying, what's the problem? What's the root of this? And what can I do to make it to where this doesn't happen again because you feel supported here? So thank you guys for watching. I realize that there's probably some people who aren't going to disagree, who aren't going to agree with the attitude I've taken here. There are some people who are going to say, you know, he's a grown up now, so he should know better. Unless you've ever been in that situation, and there's probably no one watching this who has ever been in that situation. Unless you have been in that situation, you have no idea of the pressure he is under, because you don't know who might follow you in and who might have a camera. I can't imagine what it would be like to never feel like you have a safe space. I can't imagine what it feels like to be scared to talk because you don't know if everything you say is going to be taken out of turn. I don't know that life. I never have. You know, even on this small platform I'm at, when I say things that are a mistake, I don't really get that much pushback because only a few people know me. But to be known like that and everything you do looked at with a fine tooth comb under a microscope, I don't know that life. And so anyone saying, well, he's old enough, he should know better, live his life and then see how you would do. See if it wouldn't drive you fucking insane. Because it probably would. It probably would. So thank you guys for listening and for, you know, indulging me in my conversation, because I get it. I get it that it's scary to have these conversations. There's a few of you who watch me who have your own YouTube channels and are channels that are bigger than mine. And you want to have these conversations and you can't because your platform's too big and you take on too much hate. And I just want you to know, like, on the low, you can DM me. And if there's something that you'd like me to talk about, just so you feel like somebody else gets it too, you can tell me. I'm down with it. I talk about whatever the fuck I want on here. No one's going to judge me in a way that's going to make me feel like maybe I did something bad. I mean, I might get a little critique, a little downvote here and there, but for the most part, I'm not worried about it. So, sis, if you need somebody to talk to, sir, if you need somebody to talk to, hey, y'all, if you need somebody to talk to, come talk to me. My DMs are open. But thank you so much for watching, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye.